Good morning, dear friends. I am back with a new video on how to get a job in SAP as a fresher. This is one question which I don't know how many people have asked me this, and it is really difficult for me to explain one by one to so many people from so many different backgrounds, right from the fresher to all the way very senior and experienced level people. So I thought, let me create a video on this topic and try to clarify a lot of myths, doubts, and the way ahead in order to get SAP jobs, particularly from the consulting perspective. So, before I move further, I would like to request you all that kindly like this video, share this video among your friends, subscribe this channel, and if you have any comments, if you have any queries, please feel free to put it in the comments section. All your likes, all your subscribe and your comments really means a lot to me. So let's move ahead. So this is how SAP freshers job look like, right? As you can see, people are talking with each other. Particularly I'm purely talking from the freshers perspective, but then SAP fresher has too many definitions. So we will try to cover up during this entire video on this topic. Okay, and SAP covers the whole world. As you can see on the top right hand corner, the world wide SAP is being extensively used. Probably not all modules are equally used everywhere. Module wise it may be little different, but then SAP as an ERP is definitely a global ERP. Let's move further. So what all things we are going to see by way of the contents, right? So we will see what is the definition of fresher in SAP, context of this video, types of freshers for the SAP consulting role, challenges and career switch for non-SAP background freshers, challenges and career switch for SAP background freshers, right time to do a career switch in SAP consulting, certification and SAP freshers job in SAP. Okay, job search, a challenge to overcome, my personal opinion on SAP consulting with regard to the freshers job market, and finally we will conclude this video. Okay, so let's move further. So freshers in SAP, actually the freshers are those people who are entering in the SAP world for the first time, but then there are people who are brand new to the SAP, and some people have very deep level of understanding of SAP's basic level of functionalities, probably at the end user and something like that, right? So here the word fresher will be purely focused on the SAP consulting side, right? So whatever I will discuss during this entire video will be purely, let's back to the topic. So we will talk purely from the SAP freshers perspective, but for the consulting role. Okay, and then we will also talk about expectations of SAP freshers. Usually SAP freshers think that this is also just like a 9 to 5 job, very easy, cool, calm, there is no headache, no tension, nothing, right? uh, they think that it's easy, cool, calm, and not much of risk, not much of risky job as such. But these are the expectations freshers will have. But reality is exact opposite of that. reality is not the same. And as we go further in this video, we will see the various other dimensions of SAP job from the consulting perspective for a fresher. Fresher means, here I am defining fresher term very clearly once again, that I consider fresher only from the consulting role perspective. That means if you are entering into the consulting work of SAP, irrespective of any module in SAP, for the first time in your life, that is how I call it as a fresher in this video. Please keep this point in mind throughout this video and try to understand from that perspective only. Okay? Otherwise, SAP has too many varieties of jobs, too many variety of roles, too many different things. I am not touching all those things in this video particularly. Let's move ahead. So the context part I have already explained, though in the prior slide itself, but just to go through it. So we'll cover up in the SAP consulting role side. Technical or functional really does not matter, and we will talk purely from the job perspective, how to go about getting a job, right? So these are the three areas which will be covered up in this video. Let's move on. So what all type of freshers for the consulting role you can think about? If you ask me in particular, as I said, definition I have already given. Now we'll see what all variety of freshers we can have in SAP field for the consulting role. So it can be purely somebody who is doing maybe CA, maybe BCom or something like that, and not only that BCom I'm talking about, even people from technical background. I mean BTech, MTech, MCA. These kind of people also many times try to get into the SAP. Though they are technically qualified, they also sometimes try to enter in the SAP in the function side. Sometimes a difficult choice to make. Okay, so I am talking here college pass outs means people who are just coming out of the college with their degree and entering in the job market. And then they hear a lot about SAP and then they try to get the job in the SAP side. What they do is they just, most of the time they just take some basic training in some of the local institutes. Sometimes even they go for the certification, and then they become college pass out with certification. That's another category. So basically two varieties are here for the pass outs: certified and non-certified. And remember, here what I'm when I'm talking about certification, I'm talking about the certification given by the SAP company as such. Many a times even the local institutes provide the certification for SAP training. That I do not count as certification in this video. Okay, let's be very clear about it. Next, then we have working professionals with non-SAP background. I mean, there can be many people who are working into different domain, but somehow they get to know that okay, there is one SAP world also where we can enter, we can make good money out of it. So many things they hear about it, and then they also try to enter in the SAP field as such from the consulting role. They also take some training, sometimes they also do the certification, and then they think that they are ready for the SAP jobs. Then there are other working professionals with SAP background other than consulting. I have specifically written other than consulting. That means they may be in the SAP trainings, they may be working in some training institutes or coaching institutes in SAP, they may be SAP end users, right? And sometimes they may be working with some other technologies, got to know SAP and try to jump into it. And sometimes even the PMO, sometimes a technical technical person getting into the functional side, or maybe functional person getting into the technical side. So many versions and varieties are possible over here, right? So what I'm saying is SAP background, what I'm trying to say is People with some or the other kind of having a good touch base with SAP system in particular I am talking about. The nature of work which they are doing other than consulting can be lot many different things. Okay, and then we have others. Others means we have people who have already have 20 years of work experience but having probably the lesser amount of salary. They feel that they are stuck up in their career, they want to move ahead, then they get to know somebody in SAP, and then they also sometimes try to jump into I have seen some people even at the age of 50 55 also, sometimes they also try to jump in the SAP field, right? This is a very attractive field for most of the people, but this attractiveness comes with a price which most of the people fail to pay properly. And remember, the price is not always in terms of money, it has lot of things other than money as well. Price does not count just the monetary part of it. Price has a very wider meaning in this context. Okay, so these are all the various type of freshers we have. Let's move on to the next slide. We have many slides to cover up, so we have to move on. So freshers, so with or without certification, what actually they mean by that? They will not have any domain experience. I mean, whatever field or module they are choosing, they have literally zero experience, only theoretical knowledge. What we read in the books and what the knowledge or information applied in the real world problems and various scenarios are completely two different experiences altogether. That means they know only the theoretical knowledge, they lack the practical knowledge, right? The good part of it is SAP freshers hiring usually happens at the college level. It can be campus hiring directly, or sometimes it can be off campus hiring also, depending on the job market and scenario and lot of other factors. Remember, this is not again a fixed end component as such, but majority of the hirings, particularly from the SAP uh, technical side, I have seen people are hired from all kind of computer science btech backgrounds kind of thing, right? Sometimes even mechanical engineering past students also pick up ABAP kind of thing, right? So it can happen. So most of the opportunities are getting consumed right over there, particularly for the freshers who are the college pass outs, through the campus hiring and off campus hiring, almost 90%. The remaining 10% comes only purely based on the mostly the references one, right? If somebody is referring and if there is an opportunity for the fresher, which usually does not exist much, right? So if somebody has picked up and some places opportunities are there, and still if you are able to beat the competition which you will get anyway, right? Remember, we are in India and almost 1.4 billion people are there, right? So you can easily imagine what would be the level of competition, right? You have to beat all those competitions, and then you should somehow try to reach out to the opportunity. Then only you will be getting picked up, and then you will have a job in the consulting side. So my personal suggestions to all the freshers would be, please do not completely sit on SAP jobs only all the time and just keep on trying and not getting any experience out of it. The moment you feel that it is taking more than 3 to 6 months time before you break up into any job, please pick up any other related job in which module or thing of SAP you are planning to enter, maybe at a later date or maybe at a later stage. Okay, this is very important. Many a times I have seen people kill too much of time into it, not a good practice. Actually it hurts your career and you lose on experiences as well. For example, suppose somebody has passed from the BCom background, or maybe somebody has done CA inter or maybe CA final as well. Please pick up and start working under some CA person. till you get job something in SAP side. Remember, SAP is used too many places as I already informed, right? So you should have touch base with the system. You should try to gain some domain experience also. Don't kill too much of time in that. Then suppose somebody is from the sales background, right? So you can do some selling activity also. You can be, if you are from the inventory background or P2P kind of thing, gain some domain experience, pick up some end user job also. There is no harm into it. If you get it, go for it, right? But gain some kind of, whether manual experience or system related experience or whatever, but get something and keep working and keep trying parallelly for your the goal what you have. I'm not saying everybody will get it, but if you keep trying it honestly, definitely your turn also will come. Then whatever activity you are doing, if you are really interested to get the job in the SAP, remember, you have to beat a very high level of competition. Other than that, so you can easily imagine this also will not be an easy ball to crack, right? And SAP Consulting and all other works are completely different with each other in nature. So if you are focusing on the SAP Consulting side, kindly ensure that you are learning it very very well. And remember, theoretical learning and practical learning are two different ball games altogether, right? Let's move on to the next. Challenges and career switch for non-SAP background freshers. So people who are from the non-SAP background and they want to jump into the SAP consulting role, what all challenges they will have is what I have mentioned over here. What they will usually come across, right? So they need to understand SAP system functionality, the way it behaves, what all the functions are there, what all functionality it has, what all processes can be mapped in the system, and likewise, right? So all these things you need to understand little bit more in deeper level. Then since you are from the non-SAP background and you don't know a lot of at least the surface level of SAP knowledge as well, so you need to put more and more and more effort into it, then only it is going to work. Your domain experience also should complement your exposure with regard to the various business processes which can be mapped in the SAP with regard to the given module in which you are trying to enter in the SAP consulting role, right? If you are doing a certification, it will be definitely considered as a plus point, but then again it is the not a mandatory item as such. All you need to do is to look out for the references. Many times I have seen people put up just the comments on the LinkedIn, okay, we have openings, and many a times it turns out to be the fake as well. So you need to be careful, you need to be very due diligent in checking up all the opportunities, but then definitely you have to keep trying. To SAP job, as the nature of this job is completely different from any other job which you are doing previously, you will have to change your mindset and you have to modify your personality also to suit to the job requirement as such. You need to be very good, probably I will say the extremely good in the multitasking, because in SAP consulting work many a times you will find yourself into a situation when 10 people are demanding 10 different items at all at a time. So that in that case you need to be in a position to handle these kind of pressure cooker situations in the real world SAP job consulting work scenario. So that you can do only with your continuous improvement and continuous learning, right? You also need to practice the SAP systems on a very very regular basis. I have come across many people who think that after learning SAP once they have become master of SAP. I am sorry to say, you are fooling yourself. Don't make a fool of yourself if you think that by practicing once, twice or thrice you know the whole of the SAP. People will ask you two interview questions, and I can bet you will not be able to answer it. So unless you are in a regular touch with the system, you will not be able to defend your position. Even in the interview, you will fail miserably if you do not practice it on a regular basis. You should have a curious mind. Curious mind means somebody who has lot of queries, questions, doubts, confusions in the mind about any topic given in the SAP. Most of the people keeping mum whenever some kind of training, coaching or something is going on, some KT session is going on, people do not ask their doubts and queries. And this is not, I'm telling from my perspective, this is what my observation in the real time, real world scenario is. Right? So you need to have a curious mind and you need to have a habit of asking questions. You also need to be comfortable with hell lot of new terminologies and their meaning and their usage as well, because SAP world is a technical world plus functional world, so it will have lot of technical jargons as well, right? So lot of abbreviations, lots of nomenclature, lots of naming conventions, so many things are there. Don't think that this is the very simple one, anybody and everybody can get it. So it's not like that. So you have to be aware of lot of things, lot of new things you have to learn. And then educational background also plays a very important role. Somebody from the BTech background and trying to get into the SAP FICO role, who has not much understanding about how the finance and account works, will find it really difficult to understand and get into it. I'm not saying it is impossible, but then what I'm trying to say is you have to work extremely hard to make yourself good at it. Plus, you also need to have a logical mind, right? Not a simple thing as such. Let's move on to the next. So, this is for the people who have some kind of touch base with SAP system and they understand some of the things in the SAP system. So, that's why I said challenges and career switch for SAP background freshers. So, they would be probably good in terms of systems features and other things, the navigation and other things, right? But what they need to be good at is what kind of functionalities and things are offered by the SAP standard system and what all configurations are involved into it. Many a times people think that by posting F-02 transaction they have become consultant. I am sorry to say that is not at all true. You need to know in and out of everything which goes behind or which works behind the F-02 screen. There are a hell lot of items just behind that. Okay, so you need to know that. Since just because they are aware of the SAP system, they think that the serious efforts are not much needed. I'm sorry to say once again, you need to have very serious effort. Just because you are aware of SAP doesn't mean that you have been authorized to get SAP consulting job. No, I'm sorry to say no, not at all. You need to put your serious efforts just like people with non-SAP background as well. Then whatever experiences you have gained by way of working so far must be strong, must be valid, must be in your mind. Many a times people forget lot of things. No, you cannot afford to forget like that. If you forget, then it will become a problem for you. If you are doing a certification, that also is considered as a plus point. Since you have already worked for some time, you need to look out for the references opportunities where you can join as a fresher. Again, you will have to beat lot of competitions also in it. And apart from that, many people try to fool other juniors also or other people in the name of SAP consulting job. And these kind of things I have seen a long time back in my life as well. So be aware, be careful, choose carefully and check thoroughly. These are the things you must keep in mind. Then again you have to change your mindset and personalities, because consulting role is completely different from all other roles offered by SAP. You need to be good at multitasking. You also need to do the continuous and regular practice in the SAP system. Remember, posting a transaction is not the consultant's job. Understanding the system, the way it works, what all things can be modified, what cannot be modified, and hell lot of other things like that all comes under the consulting field. That's why it is a challenging work. This is not an simple and easy work. At the same time, it is highly risky work as well, because real data and dummy data are completely different from each other, right? Also, you need to have a curious mind, just like the non-SAP background freshers. And also you need to understand, I have seen people with 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience as an end user, they start thinking that now they are completely become eligible for the SAP job, or particularly in the consulting side. No, I do not agree with that, because so far they have seen only the surface of the system, they have never seen the deeper level of the system. They don't know what is going behind the screen of the SAP screen, in the GUI or maybe the Fury, as the case may be, doesn't matter. So you have to understand that both are completely different from each other. The challenges into both roles are completely different set of things, and they don't have too much of connections between them, right? And by nature, consulting role will be at least 10 times more challenging than your individual job. Minimum 10 times, if not more. Bare minimum 10 times. Right? Let's move on to the next. Many people also ask, what is the right time to do a career switch in the SAP consulting? I will say, if it is SAP consulting as such, right? So I will say there is no right time as such. One can do the career switch at any point of time, but there are a lot of parameters and factors you have to keep in mind, right? First, check yourself and judge yourself whether you are ready for it or you are not ready for it. And if you are ready for it, how much you are ready for it, right? What is the risk assessment, and what are the risk factors you are going to get if you are doing a career switch right in sometime in the mid of the career, or maybe whatever the thing may be. You also need to check the currently the available job scenarios in the module or something which you have chosen where you want to enter, right? You also need to see what is the demand for that SAP given module in the system, in the job market. You have to choose carefully. My personal suggestion would be, if you really want to do a career switch in the SAP world, do it within the first 5 to 7 years of your career. Anything after 7 years doing in SAP field switch is actually becomes much and more challenging task, because of purely two reasons. First reason is, after 7 years your CTC will go on a higher side, and in SAP fresher job and in the consulting role you will not get the same salary. That is point number 1. Point number 2 would be, after spending 7 8 years or 10 years in a given area of the work, you lose your seniority, and your mind becomes conditioned to a given situations and circumstances which you have come across so far in your life. So breaking that conditioning of the mind will be really very difficult if you suddenly make a switch into the SAP consulting side, right? And then another point would be the personal preference. Many people think that, okay, somebody suggested, that's why I'm jumping into it. Don't do that mistake. Everything is not meant for everybody. That is hard and fast rule. Whether we like or we don't like, we will have to accept it. This is a must, right? We really do not have any choice against that. So that part must be kept in mind at any given point of time. So you can do a switch anytime in your life, but you have to check the risk factors. You have to check your learning levels. You have to check lot of other things, right? Not just one or two. There are 10, 20, 30 factors you have to check thoroughly before you really decide to do an it. And plus, even after doing all these things, what will work and what will not work, only the time will tell you, right? Nothing is guaranteed as such. Many people think that what is a big deal? No, it is actually a big deal. It is actually a big deal. It is not a small deal as such. This has too many things. I have seen many people suffering because of the career switch in SAP as well, because they are not able to handle and manage the SAP work and SAP pressure. That's why many people go back as well. Many people are not even able to enter only, and sometimes even people are able to enter, they are not able to sustain here for a longer period. They just go back. Sometimes due to various reasons also, but then many a times due to the pressure they are not able to handle, they go back. So such kind of career switch is very costly in nature. I will suggest, if you are really 100, not 100%, 500% dedicated towards SAP, then only you jump into it by way of a career switch. Otherwise, choose SAP right in the beginning, better. But then there also you will have to deal with the competition and the job market scenario and the company and a lot of other factors. Let's move on to the next topic. As to certification and SAP freshers job in the SAP. Remember that whatever you learned, as I said, theory, right? You have a given specific defined syllabus for which you study and do the certification, give the examination, get the cutoff marks, and get a piece of paper. For me, certification is nothing more than just a piece of paper, although you pay a price for it, a very heavy price for it. And another very important point is, many people think that just by being certified, they are entitled to get SAP consulting job very comfortably, no issues, nothing. Absolutely, you are ready for it. I am sorry to say, there are tens and thousands of certified people out there who doesn't have SAP job in the consulting side. Not one or two. There are literally too many. And many a times the training institutes, the coaching institutes, they also do a lot of marketing for the SAP jobs, because they think that okay, they also try to make money out of the desperations for the SAP work from the various backgrounds of people, be it a fresher, experienced, whatever. But remember, whatever they commit you, how far it will be true, again only time will tell you. Sometimes if you are lucky enough, you might get it quickly, but sometimes if you are not lucky enough, it may take very long time before you get into the SAP. It is not a easy way out. Then what is your knowledge and what is your understanding about the SAP system is 100 times much more important than having just a piece of paper. I mean certification. So you need to be very careful from that perspective. Okay. Okay. So we talked about certification and SAP freshers job in the SAP side, right? So all these points please keep in mind. Do not decide just because somebody got the job in the SAP side, you will also jump and you will also get the job, same salary, same kind of nature of the work and other things. It may or it may not happen. Most of the time it will not happen. Why? Because his circumstances and terms and conditions would be different than yours. You have to check your personal terms and conditions before you jump. Moving on to the next. Many people also ask this very important question: why SAP jobs always ask for work experience? What is the reason behind it? Why can't they take freshers? Why can't they hire freshers? So I have just noted it down, some of the very important factors which actually necessitates that one must have some kind of work and experience. There is a hell lot of difference between your real system and dummy system. What you practice in the outside world in the SAP consulting role, rather I will say during the SAP training and other things, that system and the real system are completely different from each other. In that system you have complete authorizations, in the real system you will struggle with the authorizations. Not just that, lot of other terms and conditions also apply on the real system, where none of those things are applicable on a dummy system. right? Your dummy system will not be connected with any other third party systems, but real system will be connected with n number of different items, right? Probably people who have experience in this field, they can explain you better how many things it can be connected at any given point of time. Remember, if you do any mistake in the dummy system, nobody bothers much about it, but if you do the same mistake in the real system, it can even take your job away, and it can even put you behind bars. It has the potential to do all the way till that level. It can start right from the warning, and it can go all the way till jail, right? So be careful. Mistakes in the SAP real systems are very costly and not at all acceptable by anybody, and that is why SAP jobs always ask for the work experience, so that somebody can handle the system with maturity, with understanding, and with the impact. Whatever changes you are doing in the system, what will be the impact of it is what you need to check and judge well in advance before even you make the changes and taking it all the way till the live system, right? Then you also need to have very good business process understanding, which can come only when you have experience. If you don't have experience, business process understanding, you will not have proper way, right? Remember, SAP ERP is a very big investment for the company. So why company will allow somebody with less experience or with no experience people to deal with the system which is worth millions and billions, right? So since it is a very heavy investment for the company to pick up something like SAP ERP, a licensed system, and that too in the real data, everything is real. So they want somebody experienced hands to handle that their system in the right manner, right? Then SAP also is a very integrated system. It is not just one system. Within SAP also we know only ERP. There are a lot of other things also in the SAP world. Don't think that this is the end of it. We have BW, we have SAC, right? And lot many new technologies are now slowly getting connected with SAP side. How many we know? We know just one useless piece of it, and then we think that we have become eligible for everything. No, again a wrong practice. So you should understand all the various modules, how they are connected with each other, what it works, how it works. If something I do at one place, where all it is going to hit, right? That kind of understanding a fresher usually cannot have. So that is why, that also is one of the reason why do they ask for work experience. Remember, you will not get a free time to do lot of R&D for any issue which you come across, particularly in the AMS work. Even in the implementation work also, there also you will have tight timelines to deliver certain activities. So unless you have expertise into those areas, you will not be able to do that. And because of that also, the work experience is being asked for. Many a times, if you are not able to deliver the work on time, and if the SLAs are getting breached for high priority incidents, companies also will have to pay penalty as per the clause which they have, as per the clause or contract which they have signed right at the time of beginning, when the contract when the project was awarded to the vendor, right? So in order to avoid all these things also, you need to have experience. Without experience, you will not be in a position to provide the solution within the given timelines, and then that will become a penalty. I will say the financial penalty for the company. Remember, this is a serious work. This is not a 9 to 5 job, right? It is having a different nature, and many a times if you are on AMS side, you might need to work just like an ATM machine, right? So you have to be ready for all these things, how to deal with it, and you have to always on like a firefight mode kind of thing. That means you have to work as an emergency services person, right? People who have seen how the month end activities, year end activities are getting carried out in the SAP system, they know the pain of it. Whenever the system goes live for the very first time, people know what is the pain of the hypercare, right? So this is a very serious job. People many a times take it pretty easy, and that is why SAP also takes them that much easy only. They do not get a job because of their seriousness. And 9 to 5 kind of thing, as I said, work does not exist with the SAP side, particularly in the consulting role. Situation to situation it differs, and lot of things will be there which you have to keep in mind. So these are some of the important factors which necessitates to have a proper and understanding hand to do the SAP consulting work. So I hope this particular point many people ask me, so I just put up a slide on this to explain why SAP jobs always ask for the experience. What is the reason for it? Why can't I do this? These are some of the important regions. But then this is not the entire all the regions. There are many other regions as well. The list of regions are very long. So, and you need to have a mature approach to handle the SAP system in the real time work. There will be a lot of systems which will be interconnected with the SAP, right? You also need to have logical thinking and the solution approach. This logical thinking and solution approach cannot come into a fresher's mind. It is not possible. But you have to have understanding, and this logical thinking and solution approach usually comes from the work experience. So, though people with experience having only 10% of the fresher's job, but if they really try, they can make it something somewhere. But again, it's not a guarantee as such, right? You also will have to do lot of root cause analysis. These things a freshers can't do. A complete freshers can't do a root cause analysis, not possible, because they will not have that kind of understanding where all they need to dig out. And SAP as an integrated system can throw you a lot of challenges to deal with, that too all at one go, right? You also need to be having good expertise in terms of technical and functional knowledge. Many people lack that. I will say most of the people from other than consulting role, they don't have this kind of expertise which is needed to deliver the job. Sometimes even the simple things can create havoc in the system. You also need to have understanding of lots of documents and other things are also prepared in the SAP system, right? For a lot of activities, functionalities, deliveries, right? And what all impact it will have on the system, how much data it is going to consume, how much space of the system it is going to consume. So many factors are there, right? These things a fresher will never understand. That is why also experience is needed. Apart from all these things, in order to deal with the various kinds of people which you come across in your consulting role from the different backgrounds, that person can be your manager, that person can be your subordinate, person can be your colleague, person can be belonging to some other team, that person can be your client, that person can be your stakeholders, that person can be even the CEO of the company also. And not only just in India, but you might need to deal with the people from all across the globe. Now you can imagine what kind of personality you need to have in order to fit into all these too many varieties of the given interpersonal situations. So these things, I am sure a fresher without having any much exposure can't handle it. They will make miserable mistakes, and that can lead to financial penalties. Nobody wants that, right? So that is why SAP job and experience is very much important, and that is why always experienced hands are asked for. Now, job search, a challenge to overcome. As I already said, this is not an easy process as people think that okay, I have 5 years of SAP touch base. Then I have done my certification. I have taken the training. I have learned something. Now I am ready for the consulting. Again, I am sorry to say you have lot of competition also to deal with, and opportunities for a career switch people are very much less. If you get it within your company itself, try getting it there. If you get it, you are a lucky person. Many people get from that route as well, right? So if you are working for an IT company, you can try over there if at all they allow, because company to company the policy differs. That's why I'm asking, if they at all they allow, try doing it over there. It will be a easy, it will be comparatively easier there than to search outside. You also need to check for references. You have to put on, keep on searching. This is not like, okay, I have searched once and I did not get it, then I will leave it. If you leave it, it will remain left for your lifetime, right? So continuous effort would be needed. You have to check for the references wherever you have a touch base with, see if some opportunities are available there, and you have to keep on checking. Sometimes if people don't respond, don't get demotivated. Everybody has their own priorities which they deal with it. You are not the priority for everybody, right? You cannot be the priority for everybody. So your job is to just keep checking it up. If you get something, well and good. If you are not getting something, check somewhere else, check with somebody else. Keep learning and revising regularly. Many a times people learn once and then they think that it will remain in their mind for forever. It is not going to happen that way. It doesn't happen that way, rather. Even people with experience also has to keep on revising. So obviously freshers must have to revise. Do not lose your focus on motivation. You have to keep on trying, right? Many times people get a job on contractual basis. If you are getting something like that as a fresher, please take it up. There is no harm. Work for 2 3 years and then do a switch, and then go for better salaries and better work. But that 2 3 years which you work there, you will gain lot of valuable things which a certification can never teach you, right? So be aware from the certification trap. Be aware of the certification trap in the SAP. I am telling once again, because this certification is actually big trap. After doing certification, people immediately start feeling that they are qualified for the SAP consulting job. I am sorry to say this is not true at all. Then, since it is a risky proposition to jump into the SAP world, you have to do your calculation before you jump into it, and also you need to take a very calculative risk in the job selection, right? Remember, so many other factors are also there. It is not just about the job. You might need to relocate, you might need to go to a new location, you might to deal with the different time zones, you might need to different country altogether. SAP job demands people need to be ready with lot of things. You have your passport need to be ready. You never know from where what item will come. Then what is the requirement, what is not the requirement. So many other factors are also there in the real world scenario, which also impacts the SAP jobs. If government is bringing up some rules, then everybody will have to learn all the new stuff. Plus technology itself is evolving, right? Earlier it was only ECC. Today HANA is there. In HANA, every day something or the other new keep on getting added up. Now we are talking about AI, chat GPT and many other things, that all within SAP world as well. So you can imagine the complexity it is bringing in, and apart from all these things, you also will have to deal with the cutthroat competition. So all these things you can manage only when you are dedicated enough. It is not an easy process. That's why I said. Now coming to my personal opinion, so freshers job in the SAP consulting side, the job nature and the job market, these two things are continuously changing. These are not a constant in nature. They are highly flexible and highly modifiable item. They keep on, this is like a variable pay. It is not a fixed component. It keeps on changing, and you need to modify your search effort and other things also accordingly. Then not all the modules what is there in SAP is having high demand at all the point of time. Some modules are having high demand almost all the time. Some modules are like, for example, billers direct in FSCM. There is a sub module called as BD, billers direct. This is not used everywhere. Take example for industry specific solutions. These things are not used everywhere, right? But if you talk about FI, if you talk about CO, if you talk about MMSD, and then likewise there are some other core modules. Many places it is being extensively used, right? So which module you have chosen for your career also matters a lot. Then you need to have a dedicated mindset, and you have to keep on trying till you achieve your success in your life which you are looking at, right? SAP needs people with the learning mindset. If you don't have learning mindset, and if you don't have a student mindset, and if you think that you know everything in the system, you are the biggest fool of the world. I am sorry to say, but this is a reality. Never think that you know everything in the SAP system. The reality is, more you will know about the system, you will also understand that there are still a very vast items are there about which you don't know anything. This is the reality. So be careful with such kind of trap, thinking that you know everything in the SAP. Even I don't know. Within my module, still I do not go beyond a certain percentage. I never say I know 100% of FICO. Sorry, people with 30 years of experience also can't say like that. And if somebody is saying like that, he is the biggest fool of the world, right? Then you need to be very good at in terms of doing the multiple things at one go. I think I have repeated earlier also, but I am repeating once again, but because this is one of the very challenging situation, and you have to deal with too many things. Priorities will keep on changing, and you will have limited time, and delivery will be very tight. So if you are able to handle the pressure cooker, then it's okay. That's what is needed. And your personality and the communication skills also matters a lot. How you deal with the politics, how you deal with the your superiors, your juniors, your colleagues, your managers, your stakeholders, your client side people, users, and many more, right? You have to be in a person who can mix with anybody and everybody, just like water. If you have that kind of things, you will be able to survive in your job. And no need to lose your heart. If you are really dedicated enough, keep trying. You never know when your turn will come up. I have learnt all these things in a very hard way in my life, and that is why I am saying once again that one more extra try can change your life forever, as it has happened in my case, right? I also did not got my first job just by after giving one or two trials. I also have given multiple trials, and that too over a period of time, not within 2 months, right? It has taken much more time than what I had also thought at some point of time that I will be getting a job. It has taken much more longer time. Apart from all these things, you also need to have a lot of confidence when you talk on something. You need to be very confident what you are talking on, and you should be also in a position to explain your confidence properly. If you are saying okay, this is how this particular action activity will work, you should have a logic to support it. If you are not able to give a logic to support your statement, then it will be difficult to survive in the job market. So self confidence plus technical expertise and functional expertise all will be needed, and then only you will be able to break into the SAP job market as a fresher in SAP consulting. Let's let's move on to the next slide. Now I have come to the conclusion of it. So though SAP consulting career can be started at any point of time in life, but person to person, situation to situation, job to job, location to location, time zone to time zone, if I start counting the factors, the list of factors are very much exhaustive in nature. But still, in spite of having all these challenges, I will say SAP consulting career can be started at any point of time in life, but my suggestion would be the more earlier, the better it will be. The more later, more difficult it will become. So be careful from that perspective. Particularly people who have already have 15-20 years of experience, I would personally not suggest those people to jump into the SAP consulting side because of two things. First, their salary will be a very big mismatch. Second, the challenges the work nature will throw will be very difficult to deal with. And third, opportunities, how many will come and how many will not come, only time can tell you. So that's the one thing. That's why I've written clearly that the timing of career switch really matters. If somebody is really interested, they should do it within the first 5 to 7 years of their career. After that, life becomes much more complicated, difficult, more risky, and so on. The factors, as I said, are too many. Domain experience, what you gain by way of working into some other sector, and then you are choosing the related modules in the SAP side, that actually matters. Many people do not understand the language of invoice payments and all other things, right? In the accounting itself has there are a lot of terminologies. So all these things you will understand only when you work in the domain. I have worked in the banking domain, so all the banking terminologies nobody understands better than me, right? At least I will have understanding to find out if something I don't know. I will have the potential to find out what is the actual meaning of it, and I will have a deeper understanding of it as well. Another point is, if you are really seriously interested into this particular role, into this particular work, you have to keep on trying till you get it. You can't leave your tries in between. Remember, career switch is a very costly decision in somebody's life. So before you jump in the SAP world, do all your calculations thoroughly, and that too for a longer period of time rather than a shorter period of time. Because when what will happen, only time can tell you. If somebody is telling you after 2 years you will get this, after 3 years you will get that, after 10 years you will get that, don't fool yourself. They are trying to fool you basically if somebody is giving you a guarantee kind of thing for these kind of things, right? So keep trying till you get it. That's what the final message is. Thank you so much for watching this video. Okay, kindly like and subscribe this YouTube channel. I have tried to clarify as many doubts as possible to understand and to make you understand and to make you realize what all it takes to jump into the consulting role, be it you are a fresher, if you are a non-SAP background person, and if you are a SAP background person. Mostly these are the three major varieties from which SAP people get the consulting field, right? Consulting work rather, I will say. Okay. So thank you once again for watching this video. Kindly like and subscribe it. And if at all you have any doubts, any queries, something, you can drop your email onto this particular given email ID, right? And I will try to reply you on that. So that's it from my side for this video. Wish you all a great day ahead. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.